I want to talk about something else. I closed my show yesterday with an impassioned plea to the mentally abused liberals who are mentally abusing the rest of the country. You see, the problem with people who have been mentally abused as children, or physically abused, is they tend to abuse everyone around them as adults. Liberals are like abused children. They may not have been physically abused, but they've been mentally abused. And now that many of them have power, they're abusing the rest of us to get even though we're not their enemy. So I closed my show with the following epilogue, and here's what I said. I said how liberals can have such hatred in their hearts for people like myself, how they will take the side of the Islamic extremists over the president and over the troops, how they will take the side of the enemy in virtually every interchange, and can only be answered with one statement: liberalism is a mental disorder, and I don't have the cure for it. And I then said, those of you who think I'm your enemy, if you think I'm a bigger enemy to you, for example, let's start with this. For those of you who are obsessed with certain topics, and you think that I, a frank-speaking man, I, Michael Savage, am your biggest enemy, then you're proving to me that liberalism is a mental disorder. Why do I say that? Because I do not pose any direct threat to any of you. Who does pose a direct threat to you? Our common enemy. A common enemy who would hang you, cut your throat, throw you down a well, or collapse a wall of bricks on you. So a man who speaks out trying to defend all of us becomes your enemy. Why? Because you're sick. Because you're mentally ill and you need help. You need more help than you can imagine, but you'll be the last person to understand how sick you are. What it's going to take to wake you up is anyone's guess. I have a pretty good idea what it's going to take. It'll be like 55,000 degrees over your city, and they'll be cheering throughout the Middle East. And then one of you or two of you who are spending all of your days and nights now attacking Michael Savage will then come to understand that you have had bigger problems and bigger enemies than I. I don't expect you to change. I know you're mentally ill. I know that, and you can't help yourself. The mentally ill cannot heal themselves. I then go on to say, all you snotty liberals who look over all of these things like it means nothing. What's wrong with you? When did you lose your soul? When did it exactly happen? Was it the pot in high school? What exactly was it? The coke in the 80s? When do you think as a liberal you lost your soul? What did it to you? What was the turning point? What was that tipping point in your life as a liberal looking back? When you lost your soul and started to hate America, and you started to hate everything that was normal and sane about this country. When did you lose your perspective on reality, is what I'd like to ask you. See, I don't hate liberals. I've got to make that very clear. Basically, they're not bad people by and large. They leave you alone. I don't like their politics. They don't like mine. But they're not harmful. Most of them are nice people. They're just pleasure-oriented. They like nice things and they want to be left alone. I understand that. But how they could have such hatred in their hearts for people like myself, who spend their every waking minute with every fiber in their being, trying to wake America up to the danger it is in, how they will take the side of the Islamic extremists over the president and over the troops, how they will take the side of the enemy in virtually every interchange, can only be answered with one statement: liberalism is a mental disorder and I don't have the cure for it. But I will never relent in my desire to awaken all of America with God's will, and that's how I closed the show yesterday.